All right, the gong is reverberating. We are here once again to continue this afternoon's double-header, as we've called it. So, you have questions on recess here about the political nonsense, and Hillary, or we call her Shrillery. We like nicknames now and again, you know, and she is rather shrill, has difficulty modulating her voice. And then there is the burn, all right? So there's the hill, the shrill, the burn, and then the trumpet. And as Jean was saying, what choice do you have? And of course, this is what the globalists want you to think you have choice, because Donald Trump represents the people's voices, remember. This is who the people want, not who the party wants, but what the people wants. So what you are seeing is a lot of posturing, a lot of pretending, a lot of acting as if while the people are taking over, they want the trumpet and there's nothing we can do about it. Understand something. A person recently, perhaps someone who would be in the know, stated that the trumpet would never have been able to succeed and go this far if the military, some branch of the military, and some branch of the alphabets were not behind him. We would say, from our point of view, you are in a coup. Some may call it a silent coup, a quiet coup, a covert coup, a confusing coup, but you are in a coup. A coup is a takeover of sorts. And there was a big coup in this country around 2011. The 9/11 events were absolutely a taking over, not only of the mass consciousness, but of certain aspects of the USA and world governments. And then on the first part, we were talking about this coercion into climate change, and climate change being a bit of a code for the potential arrival, incoming chaos and destruction that a planetary body could possibly create with its large tail of detritus as it enters your solar system. Hence, as many have come to speculate, the impetus to build massive underground complexes all over the world. So, what choices do you have? What do these people really represent? Who wants to make some comments on this? Because this is very relevant to what's on everyone's mind. Jean, you want to start?
Can you rephrase what the question you're asking?
Just a commentary on what the political situation is presenting to people.
Well, for me, it's just presenting something where you just really stop and take a look at, I mean, ideally that may not be what's intended, but, just what is going on between these two people. Like, why is this who we have left seemingly to choose from?
That's a good way.
Like there's nobody that you can get, even if you don't maybe ideologically or politically really agree with him, at least you say, well, that's, at least he's decent people. You say, oh, at least that's a decent person. I respect his opinions. But there's just something else, like these people, it's like they're both so weird. It's like, what is going on?
Well, it is true. Hillary can get up and blatantly lie. She announces herself as, I'm a real person. That's a very strange thing to say when she doesn't even know how to drive a car. That's out of touch with reality. How could you be the champion of regular people when you yourself don't drive, don't know how to drive, don't know how to, let's say, do some of the very basic things, let alone the number of lies that have been attributed to her and the criminal things that go back to the early years when she first met up with Bill, and they were two, let's say, high-flying, high-intended selectees. It was arranged marriage, and it was planned way back that they would be put in position in Arkansas and then eventually into the White House, because they both came from not much money, so to speak, not like the other entitled, let's say, sons and daughters of patricians. They were eager to please. And of course, they both had sexually ambiguous activities in their life that they wanted to hide. They were perfect to be blackmailed. There's plenty of evidence that even the child that they claim to have together is not Bill's daughter. So deceit all the way around. And then the bigger question is, as you look at symbols, how have a country that prides itself on choice and freedom and bravery and all of this create a situation where you have a communist, Bernie? He's pretty much of a communist. Everything he's promoting is a form of socialism or communism. And if you study communism and socialism all around the world, you begin to realize that everything for free, no mortgages, and no free education, and free this and free that, after a while it doesn't create a very high standard of living, because if everyone's going to have something for free, everything has to be scaled back so that everyone gets equal. You understand? Equal. So it's big social engineering, and Donald put himself into position through his own money, but there's more going on. As Jean, you found that he first ran for president on the Simpson Show in his own Trump Tower escalator. So one has to question that. Who else has a comment on the political situation?
This is Christopher.
Christopher, yes, welcome.
Thank you. Hi. I just want to add to the trumpet's qualities as president. He's the owner of the Miss America pageant.
Yes, Miss America.
Which would suggest that he's part of that.
Miss USA.
Miss USA, thank you. So he's part of that, how do you say, drafting candidates into the MK Ultra trade, the sex trade.
Yes, because there's a tremendous amount of placement of beauty contest winners then becoming girlfriends or wives of other people who are deeply under MK Ultra, but they might all start off vaguely programmed, and so you can follow this tracking everywhere. That's a good point. What else, Christopher?
Also to be remembered is that he owns casinos and hotels well, across the United States, but principally in Atlantic City.
Atlantic City, so gambling.
Gambling, and I would imagine that offers the opportunity to, when he receives high-profile people in those hotels, to know what they're doing.
Well, of course, because in today's high-profile hotels, in other words, $500 a night and upward, you are going to have very sophisticated surveillance.
So, as a type of power broker.
The trumpet has the dirt. He's got the films, he's got the recordings, and once again, being part of a, quote, silent or quiet coup is a better word, a quiet coup, he does not have this momentum and this kind of backing if he didn't have some insider encouragement, protection, etc. Mm-hmm. As was said, he could only go this far with backing by certain branches and the operative word here is certain branches of the military and the intelligence agency. And we will say this because these military and intelligence agencies are largely populated by the male species. What testosterone charged up man wants to take orders from Shuleri? Truly, these people are career people. They're not going to take orders from someone like her. She is detested far and wide by people who truly want to restore America's values. So this is, what else, Christopher?
Yeah, I've lost the thread there, but you have me thinking now about the divisiveness in our culture, and the male-female division is being pushed forward.
Very much so, because there it is, Hillary claiming to be a woman's champion, yet going after viciously like a pit bull. That's not fair to the pit bull, but we'll use it anyways. Going after the women who are appalled at Bill's behavior. So she's a fierce attack dog. And then number two, you have the trumpet, who then feels quite comfortable slamming women and looking at them as sexual beings. So yes, women and men would be very confused as to who's on whose side. And so they are being very divisive, very, very divisive. And Bernie, what do you think of Bernie, Christopher?
I don't understand. I think he's thrown in to appease.
Oh yes, he's the catcher.
Yeah.
To make sure that a certain batch of the voting population feels that they are being heard. Mm-hmm. Understand this? Yes. And many of his points are completely legitimate. It's just that he will never be able to execute them. And he's a socialist. And again, as we've said, whether it is Sweden, Norway, Denmark, whether you are talking communism in Venezuela or Cuba or Soviet Union, Russia, whatever it is called now, it doesn't work. Because it is attempting to make everyone feel as if they are taken care of by the state. And the last thing you need to do is to have a nanny state that you are dependent on. It weakens your volition. Because you see, it's one thing to have someone give you a car, put you through college, pay for your wedding, pay for everything, versus the self-improvement to go after it on your own. And the satisfaction and the reward that comes from doing the job yourself because you want it and you work for it. There's a tremendous amount of gratification and confidence that comes to people who achieve, even small things. When you take achievement away and you give everyone the same pablum, which is what Bernie wants, then the whole society is disempowered. And remember, Bernie spent his honeymoon in Moscow. How many people aim to go spend their honeymoon in Moscow? Well, Moscow's lovely, but nonetheless, Bernie is a comrade. So be clear about that Bernie would represent higher taxes, more and more intrusion of government, and then you want the government to stand up to Wall Street. It's ridiculous. The government is Wall Street. It's not going to stand up to Wall Street. So Bernie, with bringing up good ideas, is still deluding people. So you have, as you said, no choices. What else, Christopher?
Well, one last thing about the trumpet. Early on, he brought out a campaign kind of imagery. It was very, on the surface, very patriotic. There was an American flag blowing in the breeze and his portrait.
He does have Venus, we believe, in Cancer. So that's very patriotic if you understand the astrology.
And layered within this imagery was a soldier marching behind, in the background, marching behind the flag. As it turns out, the company that put that imagery together for his campaign used a Nazi soldier in the background. And
How did they make that mistake?
well, that's a very good question. It was blamed on a young graphic designer who was fired.
The young always get blamed.
But having worked in graphic design myself, I know that that's not what happens. The image would have been vetted.
Of course.
It has to be agreed upon.
Of course.
But it makes a very easy fall guy to blame it on the young graphic designer.
Well, let's recapitulate. You have someone who is a socialist communist, the Bern. You have the shrill, who is criminal. And then you have the trumpet, who is, let's say, leaning towards fascism. None of these situations really embody what your country is all about. And just to give a little more snippet on the trumpet, he seems to always look for explosive topics. And recently, a few days ago, he gave an interview with a commentator by the name of Sean Hannity. And in this interview, as the Hannity person was recapitulating Bill Clinton's crimes against women and all these allegations, as the host is going on naming the allegations, trumpet pipes up with rapist. And on the mainstream news, millions of people, Trump reiterates that Clinton is a rapist. Then another show, we believe it was Rush or some such, right around the same time, goes on to say how Bill Clinton had many undocumented trips to Porno Island. It's not the name of it, but it's got some name there, that this convicted pedophile named Jeffrey Epstein has an island in the Bahamas, the old peaks of Atlantis, where he brings in world leaders to have sex with young girls, and probably boys and all the rest. And that Bill Clinton has been cited as making too many trips to this Porno Island. And this is coming out on mainstream situations. It's getting nasty. It's getting very, very nasty. And yet, it's the truth. It's the truth. It's not an exaggeration. It's actually an understatement of how dark the political scene is. Caution, confusion ahead. That's basically the warning that we are providing today. Caution, confusion ahead. No matter what you think something is, it could be completely switched around.